So I want to talk to you about a time that I'm kind of proud of, and I hadn't thought about it for like 10, 15 years. But it's a time when I felt really good about myself in school, which didn't happen often. Until I got to college and university and got to study what I wanted, I didn't have a lot of times when I felt like a good student because ADHD is not the worst thing to have, but in the 90s it wasn't well understood. I was diagnosed early and medicated, but I hadn't learned to control any of this yet, so I really wasn't a good student. I was disruptive, I wouldn't hand things in on time, I was the class clown, unsurprisingly. And yeah, overall, I didn't have a lot of opportunities to feel like I'd done something right in school, and this is one of those times when I did. So this was grade 4, 5, or 6, and we were doing what's called an egg drop. So the idea is you're going to have an egg, and it's going to be thrown off the school, and your job is to figure out some way that it won't break. So here's what I did. I covered this egg in bubble wrap, and then I covered it in a shirt or a blanket or something cloth related, and I think I put it inside a Tupperware. I know there was at least one Tupperware container involved. I think there were two. So then I covered the Tupperware container in something else, cloth or bubble wrap or something like that, and I put it inside of a bigger Tupperware container. And then after all of this was said and done, I wrapped it in blankets, and then I wrapped it in two pillows that I tied around this arrangement of, I guess, armor, and I handed it in. It looked like shit. I didn't tie it very well. I wasn't didn't have any attention to detail as a kid. I handed it in. It was like this big around, and the teacher was like, "Okay." Um, and I only realized when the teachers were taking these kids' projects up to the top of the school that I was the only one that didn't try to slow its fall in some way. So everyone else had made like a parachutes are pretty common. Some people tried to use a towel and it just didn't work very well, just hoping it would catch it. I remember one kid with an umbrella, like Penguin and Batman, didn't work. There were a few that were like actually well constructed parachutes that did work. There was one glider arrangement. It sort of fell. The problem is, like a lot of badly made paper airplanes, it sort of glided for a little bit and then nosedived. So some of these broke, some of them didn't. It just depends on how well protected they were. I remember the gym teacher, like with mine in his hands, like just kind of looking at it. I don't think he was like, "Oh, this isn't going to work." I think he was just kind of amused that like I hadn't done anything to try to slow it down. So he dropped it off, and it fell like a brick. It hit the ground really, really hard. And then the teacher went over, unwrapped all the stuff that I'd done to this, and the egg was fine. And I was really proud of myself for that, because I did something completely different than anyone else did, and it worked. So I don't know. I just hadn't thought of that story in a while. It just makes me smile. That's all.